Hi, welcome to my channel, PD Out and Fishing. Today I will talk about sleeping in a tent compared to sleeping in a tarp. And this is my very personal experience, so this is what I think about it. And many other people have different opinions. And I also would like to say that I have slept more in the tent. And I spent several long trips in Swedish mountains in the tent. And tarp I have not used as much, but I use it nowadays more. And also I would like to add that I have slept overnight in the summer, fall and spring, and not so much in winter, and not in the extreme winter conditions. So my experience is more than the Nordic summer and some part of spring and the fall, and mainly then in the Swedish mountains, which can actually be quite cold in the winter, and it could go from 20 degrees plus Celsius down to maybe 4 minus. So usually when we are in the mountains in the summer, we have some nights when it's freezing. And yet remember to subscribe and stick around. And the first point I would like to talk here, we'll talk about 5 different points. And the first point I will talk about is the setup and the ease to use it or to set it up. First of all, if you go with the tarp, you have several different configurations you can do, and they are quite easy, I think. Usually I need a ridge line, and then I do an A-frame like I have behind me, with a ridge line going all over here, with the tracker sheets up there, and just four 10 stakes. And then I have prusik knots to tighten it up here. There. And also this is a good way which I use to overnighter, and you can also combine it with the mosquito net. And I always have a ground sheet, lightweight ground sheet in my when I use a tarp. And then secondly, if we talk about the tent over there, I usually have a tunnel tent. That is what I have always used, and they are quite easy to set up, depending a little bit on the model. But usually here in Sweden, the tradition is to have one inner tent and outer tent. And I think they are very comfortable, and they are easy to set up. You just need to put in the tent stakes and then the spikes on the side. So when it's about tarp and tent, I think both are actually quite similar. They are easy to set up, at least when you have a tunnel tent, which I am used to. There are many different other tents, but I will just talk about my personal experience, which is the tunnel tent. And then I come to the versatility, which is maybe it's a very interesting aspect of this, because the tent, yeah, it's great to have to make an overnighter, but that's also a bit with a disadvantage with the tent. You don't really bring a tent for a day hike, at least I don't do it. It's a bit too heavy and too big for that. And so yes, it's great for sleeping. And also a tent, I would say it's also a bit personal preference about sleeping in a tent or a tarp. I will talk a little bit about that later. And then when you talk about versatility for the tarp, and there it's also that is one of the things where tarp really shines, actually, because it's I think it's great for overnighter, and it's also very lightweight, and it's also I use it a lot for day hike. Either have this one big one, which is 3x3, or I use it. I use my smaller one, which doesn't take any space or is very lightweight, which is perfect in the winter or snow or if it's too much sun. So I think tarp is a bit more versatile. Nowadays I use tarp much more than the tent. The tent I only use when I go overnighter. And the tarp I use both overnighter and the day hikes. And then coming to the comfort, and I would say the comfort is that this is very personal experience and preferences. I think that the tent is very nice. It's everything is enclosed. In the winter, I mean, I would take the tent because the tarp. I mean, you get snow in everywhere. That's at least what I think, and it's also very cozy, and it's easy to protect against a cold wind in your tent. The tarp, on the other hand, really shines when it's fall, also summer, and also the spring. There could be a little bit problem with the tarp in the summer because in Sweden, in northern countries, we have a lot of mosquitoes. So you need a mosquito net to add that, and it's not always so easy to keep it really mosquito safe, because usually the mosquito nets are not fully enclosed, so you have to put some tent stakes, and then when you go in and out, I think it's a bit difficult. So the tarp really shines in the spring and part in the summer for maybe day height or so, maybe not for a whole week, and then for the fall. And it's also a bit more private. You get a bit more private feeling in the tent. On the other hand, in Sweden, where you go into the mountains, there are not so many people, or in the woods, where I usually have used my tent tarp in the woods. There are not so many people in the woods. So that is one thing. And when it's about comfort, I think it's a bit more interesting with the tarp on that side, that it's open and it's a nice feeling. On the other hand, the tent is good when the weather is really bad, and you have this upside on the side. In this one, we have only the small one here, and I think it's also a bit. Some people think it's more cozy in a tent, and I can understand that. Sometimes I think the tent is better. And if I go a long trip in the maybe a week or so, then I would take the tent. That's what I think, because then I would be more protected against the elements. And the elements, I mean both the rain, the wind, and the mosquitoes. And then coming to the weight, and here is the tarp better. That's usually I mean, you can a tarp weighs about, with the ridge line. If you buy a decent tarp, it's I use a DD hammock here, the standard, and then the weight is about 1 kilo, which is very lightweight actually, and you can be 2 people in here, and 1 kilo is also with mosquito net and the tent stake. And then the tent, on the other hand, that the one I have, it's a small two people tunnel tent, the Sydvang. Yeah, I think it's a bit too small for 2 grown-ups. So, but it weighs 1.7 kilo, which is pretty lightweight. But usually you need more than 2 kilo for 2 people. So, on the other hand, if you are 2 people who are traveling, hiking, then you're sharing the weight actually. So, but if you're one person, then it's could be a bit heavy, 1.7 kilo. Yeah, for that. I know there are many other tents which are very lightweight, but they are on a much higher price than the ones I have bought. So I will not really comment on those. I'm sure they are great tents, but I have no personal experience on that. And then coming to the next thing I would like to discuss, and that is the price. And a tarp, A good tarp like the one I have here, the DD hammock, is actually only about 50 euro, 50 60 euro, and then you buy a mosquito net and a little bit other things, and then you have maybe another 20 40 euro, and that's a very good price for a very good quality. The tents, yes, then you at least, I think you have to pay something around 250 euro for a good one person tent. I think I paid something like that as well for this one. Not sure really. And then of course you have very light and very expensive tents, but then we're talking maybe 600 and up. And those I have not tried, and that's it's not for me. But if I would go along through hike or something and be away for several, yeah, maybe weeks or several days, then of course I would consider it. But that's I'm not doing right now. So the tarp is a bit better here. It's a very good price for what you get. And so my summary, what is the best? I would say it depends. I think both are good. If you like to do day hikes and maybe overnighter, then I would say the tarp. That's great. If you want to go a bit hiking a bit longer, 1 week or maybe 10 days or maybe more, then I would say the tent. So it all depends, and I know that there are people are doing through hikes, long through hikes in the tarp. So it's a very personal experience. That is my thoughts about tent and tarp. And thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe. See you next time.